All right, so we're moving right along, and let's go ahead and take a look at what the body shop receives after the customer has used the estimating tool. So one of the things that we realized in the early days, and we kind of screw this up, is we need to have accountability for the shops. Now, the basic rule of thumb here is the faster you respond to a customer's request, the higher the likelihood that that's going to become your repair. Now, here's where we messed it up. I had a client call me and he's like, "Hey Ryan, we had about 300 submissions through your estimating tool, but we closed almost none of the work." And I'm sitting there going, "What? How's that even possible?" So we investigated, and here's what we found. From the time that the customer submitted their information to the time that the body shop reached out and actually called the customer or got in contact with the customer for the very first time, they let 6.5 days go by. 6.5 days. That's like this. That's if you got a phone call and somebody says, "Hey, I've been in a collision, call me back." And then you wait a week to call them. Of course, they're not going to be your customer. Same difference here. Okay, so the rule of thumb is the faster you get in contact with the customer, the higher the likelihood that's going to be your repair. So we built this fail-safe mechanism. So when the customer uses the estimating tool, 2 notifications go instantly. The first notification goes right back to the customer. And this is in the form of an autoresponder that each one of your shops can actually customize and change to their liking. But the general message would say, "Thank you for using our estimating tool. One of our estimators will now review the photos and get back to you shortly." Something like that. The other message that goes out is directly to your estimating team. Now, this is a behavioral-based monitored email. And here's how that works. So in the background here, you can see there's a lady in the background and this man on his phone. So let's say the lady is the estimator. As soon as that customer presses submit, they're going to get an email notification. Now, for some reason, if they don't open that email notification, it will monitor their behavior and prompt them. So let's say 30 minutes later, that email is still unopened. We know that, and we will send a prompt to that estimator right on their personal phone. Ding, heads up, customer's looking for an estimate. Now, for some reason, if that estimator's out sick or away from the desk or whatever the case, vacation, we will escalate that 2 hours later to the management team. All right, so it's got this escalation platform built right inside of it. So the manager will get a text message, "This customer's never been dealt with." Now, all of these times are completely adjustable. You can turn them on, you can turn them off, and you can actually even adjust the time frame. So if you want a 15-minute notification to your estimator and a 1-hour notification to your management team, great, okay? We have guys that have it as a 5-minute notification to the estimator and a 15-minute notification to the manager. Again, the rule of thumb is the faster you respond to the customer, the higher the likelihood it becomes your repair. So the next piece is, once they actually get there, let's take a look at the actual dashboard. So we're gonna dive into this. Here's what we're looking at here. So we tried to build this extremely simple, okay? We understand that sometimes staff has what we call technology fatigue. We've got so many different programs out there. So we built this to be very simple, very intuitive, almost like an email inbox that everybody's used to. What you're gonna see is all the newest submissions come to the top. Everything you need to know about that customer is really on one line. We have the name, the date, you can put a dollar amount in. We have ways to quickly contact the customer via phone, text message, or email. On top of that, if you have a multi-store, it'll list which location that customer chose, the vehicle info, and one of the most important ones is the status column. Now, at a glance, we want to know what's happening with our customer. So that's why we built the status column. And at a click, you can change the status to whatever you like. Let's say I want to make this a sold job, right? Now that status is sold. At a glance, I can tell that Ava McKay is a sold job. Now, on top of that, you can create your own unique statuses for each one of your stores. So if I wanted to put in there, "This is Ryan's problem," right? That could be a status. And when I go in there, now my staff can change that to Ryan's problem, and it flags me that I need to deal with it, okay? So just a very simple, easy way to deal with it. Now let's go ahead and actually look at the meat and potatoes. So we're gonna click the expand button on the left-hand side and jump right in. Here's what you're gonna notice, all right? You're gonna see all the customer's information displayed up here on the screen. You're also gonna see an internal notes section on the right-hand side that time and dates your staff's basically interaction with the customer. Below that is all the photos. Now, one of the things that we wanted to do is offset the human element. You're gonna notice that the photos are already pre-labeled. As the customer clicks on the damaged panel, in this case the rear bumper, that photo will be labeled. So even if they go in too close, we know what panel they're trying to take a photo of. So let's zoom in a little bit closer. All right, so now we're in looking at these photos. Notice that they're never really taken under ideal conditions. Again, we're dealing with the human element, right? So we've done everything we can to offset that. For example, these are high resolution images, so your clarity and your visibility is a lot higher than you get from a normal texted or emailed photo. On top of that, on the left-hand side here, you're going to see a bunch of filters that we can utilize to enhance the viewing of those photos. So for example, we can look at different angles, and when we're ready, we can actually put an X-ray filter over top. Now, when I go back, and I'll just show this to you again, notice that taillight's really hard to see, and we know the impact's close to the taillight. So what I want to do is put an X-ray filter on it over that taillight, and now we can see, wait a minute, there is a crack in that taillight that we couldn't have seen under normal conditions. And that's really what all these filters are there for. X-ray, polarization, amplifying color, damage, hue, and intensity. So all those filters are for your estimators to play with to really get good clarity of what they're dealing with. So once we've had a chance to assess the photos, really our job at that point is to triage. I'm going to be talking to you about triage next because it's a very powerful methodology that can save a lot of frustrations in the shop. So here we go. So now we've inside of there, one of the things we want to do is triage the vehicle and say, is this a job that I can virtually estimate, or is this a job that I really just want to bring in for a blueprinting and repair appointment? And we'll talk more about that inside of triage. But you can actually assign a job class. So I could say, you know what, that's a small job. That's what we call a type 1, a 0 to 11.9 hour job. I'm going to assign a job class to it. Again, at a glance, we can see exactly what's going on with that customer. Okay, so what's next? From here, one of the things that we wanted to build in here was very quick ways to communicate with your customer. For example, on this phone icon, one of the things that we wanted to do was create a what we call face-to-face contact with the customer. Now, when you click on this, it'll activate your web camera through either FaceTime or Google Hangouts, and you can have a face-to-face phone call right from your computer with a customer. Now, the interesting thing is, full transparency, when we built this, we thought it'd be really popular, but it turns out it's not. Customers are very adverse to people calling them, especially if they're sitting on the toilet. Oh, no. And they get this FaceTime call, right? It's like, whoa, nope, not going there. So what we want to do is you can utilize this. The idea was that you could be on the screen with them and say, okay, can you take your phone, turn the camera, and go real time around the car? So it'd be like seeing the car in a first person view. So that is available to you guys. You can hook that up inside of the system. The other piece is, and this is extremely popular, is a two-way texting platform, kind of like a cell phone built right into your dashboard. That way your staff doesn't have to use their personal phone. That way you guys can have a complete audit trail of communications with the customer. So here's an example. Inside of this platform, we've also built templates so you can quickly communicate with that customer. Let's say we just wanted to follow up with an estimate we sent off. I simply click follow up, it types in the text message, and I press send, just like that. Of course, you can always type in your own unique message. From there, the customer is going to get that message and they can respond back. Do you have any rental cars? Boom. Now it comes back to the dashboard. Your dashboard will light up with a red dot and a red circle around the text message, okay? And then from there, again, keep in mind, a lot of our estimators are running around the shop, blueprinting, doing whatever they're doing. If that remains unopened for 10 minutes, our platform will send a push notification to that estimator's personal phone, just a heads up, Darlene McButler has sent you a text message 10 minutes ago. Check your dashboard for details. All right, so it just kind of prompts them to go back and keep in communication with the customer. When they go in there, they're going to see that in the customer's response is always in blue, time and date stamp. So we can keep a very good detailed log of our communication with each customer. Another thing we did is we've actually built in an email platform. Now this links directly to the estimator's email, and what it will do is when they send out a message, it goes out from their work email, but they can actually template it. And where I really like this is anytime that you want to communicate with a customer, a prime example, and we'll talk about this in triage in quite a bit of detail, is we want to eliminate waste. So tire kickers, rust, so on and so forth. And I won't steal the thunder from down below here, there's a few more videos. But what we're going to want to do here is, let's say we wanted to decline the repair. We can simply click on that button. It will write a professional breakup letter, okay, to that customer. So rather than the customer having to drive down to the shop and take 20 minutes, 30 minutes of our estimator's time just to explain that we actually don't fix rust, we can disband or get rid of that customer virtually in just about 3 clicks. So we click on decline repair, send now, and away we go. That's 2 clicks. All right, so that's 2 clicks and we can get rid of that customer virtually and not hurt their feelings and not take up our valuable estimator's time. So very powerful tool, the templated tools. So that's kind of a high-level view of how simple and easy it is to navigate through the dashboard for the estimators. And next we're going to talk about Triage and how you can use this to your advantage to really improve a lot of KPIs, customer experience, and free up a lot of time for your staff. We'll get into that now.